now the Seder, the schedule of the first night of Rosh Hashana. So we start with, what do we start with? We start with the challah and honey. We dip the challah in honey. Okay, take this off. So we start with challah and honey. Okay, challah and honey. And this is done throughout the meals of Rosh Hashana. We dip the challah and honey. Then goes apple honey. So after, put in Hebrew maybe? In Hebrew to put English better? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Apple. You dip the apple in honey. And this is done the first night of Rosh Hashana. After we eat a kazayis, we eat about a little less than an ounce of the challah. Then we go to the apple and honey, and we say a bracha right after the eights. Even though in the middle of the meal you don't usually say a bracha, but it's not part of the meal. So we say a bracha on it. We say a bracha 8 on the apple. And then after the bracha 8, before we eat from it, we say, Yihiratzei milfanecha. You'll find it in the Machzor shop, and here are the words. You say the bracha bayit 8, and then before you eat from it, you say, Yihiratzei milfanecha shetichadesh aleinu. Yeah, you see it? Doesn't mention Chadash Aleinu, Shana, Haiva, Umesuka. Ratzei, Lusonecho, Shetechadish, Aleinu, Shana, Temesuka, then you eat from it. Out of Chabad, the way they do it is, they say the bracha 8, eat from it, swallow a bite, and then say Yiratzin. Then in Chabad is, we say the bracha 8, then we say the entire Yiratzin, and then we eat from it. What a question. Yeah.
Why do we do that differently? It's the same thing with wrestling.
The reason why we do it differently is because it gives more power to the prayer. Yiratzin is a prayer. May it be the will that Hashem should give us a good and sweet year. We want to give more power to the prayer by connecting it to Baruch. If you look at the Amidah, you'll see the Amidah begins with what? Baruch Atah Hashem. Okay. Now the next blessing starts again with Baruch? No. Ata Gibra. Only the first one starts with Baruch. But every bracha should start with Baruch. But when they connect it to each other, so they serve each other. It's getting energy from before. Here, Yiratzin does not start with Baruch. So when you connect it, you give more energy to the prayer of Yiratzin. That's how the Rebbe explains it. Afterwards goes the Rimon. So after the apple goes the Rimon. Rimon, which means a pomegranate. The rimon, which is a pomegranate, is usually shechianu. It's a new fruit. It could be you just had a rimon before Rosh Hashana, then it's not shechianu. But usually it would be shechianu if you didn't have the pomegranate for a long amount of time. Then it would be shechianu on the rimon. So before you eat from the pomegranate, you're going to say shechianu. Now, essentially, what can be done is when you're saying whoever saying Kiddush, you can say Shechianu in the Kiddush. So you can have in mind that when whoever's saying Shechianu should have in mind also the pomegranate. Because usually by Kiddush, you already have the apple on the table, the Rimon is on the table, so he can have in mind with the Shechianu that it's also for the Rimon, and then it's going to be included. if he had it in mind, then he doesn't have to say Shechianu again. But usually, people don't have it in mind. I shouldn't say usually. I mean, it depends. If he has it in mind, yeah. But the ones listening to Kiddush don't usually have it in mind. Maybe you do. I mean, and even if you do, it doesn't help if he didn't have it in mind. Because in order for you to be Yaitzer with Shechianu, by hearing from someone else, the one who's saying it has to have you in mind. It's not enough that you have in mind when you're listening to Kiddush and you're hearing Shechianu, and you have in mind the Shechianu should also be for the pomegranate. If the one who's saying Kiddush does not have in mind Shechianu for the pomegranate, because listening is like saying it. So if the one who's saying Kiddush and the one who's saying Shechianu doesn't have you in mind, doesn't have in mind the pomegranate, and he doesn't have you in mind with the pomegranate, with Shechianu for the pomegranate, so it doesn't help if you have in mind when you're listening to Kiddush and you're hearing Shechianu, you have in mind for the pomegranate. In simple words, what I'm saying is that when you get to the pomegranate, you will say Shechianu if it's a new fruit. But what I was bringing out is that it's theoretically it's possible that you won't have to say Shechianu on the pomegranate because Shechianu is already said in Kiddush. So if you follow all the guidelines by Kiddush, the one who's saying Kiddush has it in mind, he has you in mind, and you have it in mind, okay, but usually that's not the case. Clear? Okay. Now, so we have a pomegranate. We already said 8, and it was on the table, so it's already included. Or if we had it in mind, when you said about 8 on the apple, we had in mind you can have a pomegranate, so you don't say 8 again. Now, why do we have a pomegranate? There's 2 reasons why we have a pomegranate, maybe more, but I'm going to discuss 2 reasons. One reason is because the pomegranate symbolizes that our merits should increase like a pomegranate. We want to increase our merits. It's the day of judgment. So we're saying our merits should increase like a pomegranate. The pomegranate is full of seeds. Another reason is because the pomegranate, what do we eat from the pomegranate? We eat the inside of the pomegranate, not the outside. So this symbolizes the idea that we want Hashem should look into our inside, not our outside. The inside of every Jew is good. Every Jew wants to do good. And even those who don't, but they want to be good. But every Jew also has good in him. Even the worst Jew has good inside him. So what we're saying, the message we're sending Hashem is that we want Hashem should look at our inside. Our inside is good, just like the pomegranate. Look at the outside. Think about pomegranate. If you don't know anything about pomegranates, and you want to buy an apple, and then you want to buy a pomegranate, and then you're gonna disgusting. You're gonna bite into the front. The inside is good. So it's telling Hashem, look into inside of us. The inside of us is good. And there's a story that connects to this. There's a story with Rabbi Meir. One of the Tanaim in the Gemara was called Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir had a teacher who was an apikaris, was a heretic. And these days it's very rare to find a heretic, an apostate, because a heretic means someone who's very knowledgeable, who studied, he knows everything, but nevertheless he decided that he's rejecting Hashem, he's rejecting the Torah. That's what a heretic is. These days, well, even those who want to call themselves heretics, they're not really heretics, they're just plain ignorant, usually. So in any case, his teacher was very knowledgeable, but somehow, his years became a heretic. And Rabbi Meir would still learn Torah from him. Rabbi Meir would follow him around and learn Torah from him. And even Shabbos, he would follow his teacher around. His teacher was riding the horse on Shabbos. And he's very knowledgeable. And he would follow his teacher and learn Torah from him. And the question was asked to Rabbi Meir, how could you learn Torah from a heretic? Not really supposed to learn Torah from a heretic. because if you learn from a heretic, because he doesn't believe in it, so it's sort of you're not you're getting it from a bad source. You're not supposed to. And they asked him, how could you do it? So Meir explained that it's like a pomegranate. I take out the inside and throw away the outside. In other words, because Rabbi Meir was such a great tzaddik, it's not for a regular person, but he's such a great tzaddik, he was able to separate the two. He was able to learn from his teacher, who wasn't heretic, but make sure that it's not going to affect him. He won't be affected by it. So he said, it's like a pomegranate. He's taking the inside, he's taking the good part, and he's throwing away the outside. And the story goes on that as he was following his teacher, and his teacher's on the horse, he's trailing behind him, and they're learning turning together. At some point, Meir, his teacher was called Elisha ben Aviya, if I'm not mistaken, Elisha ben Aviya, and he turns to him and he says, Meir, tells him, he says, Meir, student called Meir, stop. You can't continue walking because I was measuring with the footsteps of my horse that were already out of the Tchum Shabbos. So on Shabbos, you know, they walk past the Tchum, past 2,000 cubits outside the city. Well, in New York, it's all one big city because there's houses all over the place. But when you go in the suburbs and other places, you go out of the town, and then also there's trees and grass, and there's nothing else. So you can only walk 2,000 cubits. Past that you can't walk. So he told the students, you can't walk anymore. Now he didn't keep telling them this, but he cared about his students. He said, you can't walk anymore. Stop. He was going to continue, and he was going to tell his student, he cared about his student. So he told the students, you have to turn back. So here comes a very critical part of it. To return, he went to his teacher and said, you also return. Yeah. He meant something else. And he meant that too, but he meant you also return. And his teacher told him, you see, at the same time that his teacher was heretic, he was on a level. He said, I heard up there in Shemayim that they're saying that they can accept everyone's tshuva besides me. My tshuva is not going to be accepted. I'm too far gone. They're not accepting my tshuva. And he didn't. Well, we know what it says in Tanya, that there's nothing that stands in the way of tshuva. Even for those that it says that tshuva is that even for those that it says that they cannot return, they cannot do tshuva, there are certain sins that is brought down in the Gemara and Svarim that went too far. Your tshuva is not going to be accepted. When Tanya says that if dochak nichnas, and if you push really hard and you really put all your energy in and you really do a real tshuva, not the regular tshuva, way above and beyond, then your tshuva will be accepted. It is also brought down in connection to the first reason. First reason of why we need a pomegranate, because we want our marriage should increase like a pomegranate. It's also brought down that the sinners of Israel are full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. The sinners of Israel are full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. It means those Jews who are doing sins, but they're full of mitzvahs. And there's a lot of explanations for that. And simple explanation is that because the essence of a Jew is good. In essence, a Jew is good. The neshama wants to do good. So, in essence, he's good. Next is after the Rima, the pomegranate comes Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana, the head of a ram, or Rosh Hashana. Rosh head, Ayu. It looks like Elon. I want to make a slash, and it became a tree. Oh my! No slashes. Rosh Ayu, Rosh Kevis, Rosh Dog. Okay, Generally, I don't write menus, but it's an exception, okay? Okay, Rosh Ayu, head of a ram, fish kevis, head of a sheep, head of a fish. Now, I write in order of preference. Your preference is head of a ram. If you can't get head of a ram, you're gonna get head of a sheep. Can't get head of a sheep, get head of a fish. Practically speaking, from my experience, you can't really find the head of a ram. You can't find the head of a sheep. I haven't found it for years where you could find the head of a fish. Now, why head of a ram? So there's two parts to it. There's something about the head, something about the ram. The head is because we want to be the head. We don't want to be the tail, we want to be the head. What's the idea of the ram? The ram represents Akedah Yitzchak, the binding of Yitzchak on the Akedah, how Avram was willing to take Yitzchak and bring him as a sacrifice and slaughter him, as Hashem told him on Har Meriah, and he was ready to do it, and Yitzchak was ready to do it too. They're both together in it, as Hashem said so, till Hashem, an angel came later and said, no, don't do it. So this is great, this brings great merit to the Jewish people, that the patriarchs, Avraham and Yitzchak, they were willing to do what Hashem said, and Avraham was willing to slaughter his only child, because Hashem told him to do that. So that's great merit to the Jewish people. And this we speak about when we daven on Rosh Hashana, we speak about it in the davening. The merit, remember the merit of Avram and Yitzchak, that was ready to bring Yitzchak on the Akedah. So to remember that, we eat the head of a ram. What's the connection with the ram? Because after the angel told him, don't slaughter Yitzchak, all of a sudden he saw a ram, and he understood that the ram was going to be a sacrifice instead of Yitzchak. And actually, Rashi says when he slaughtered the ram, and he did the whole entire service, like doing the Beis Hamikdash with a sacrifice, he slaughtered and sprinkled blood. He said, it should be as if I did it to my son Yitzchak. It should be as if I did it every step of the way with the slaughtering the ram. He said it should be as if I did it to my son Yitzchak. So the ram represents the Akedah, the special merit that we have with Akedah Yitzchak. So that's why we use the head of a ram. So in other words, there's two parts. There's the ram, the significance of the ram, significance of the head. This combination of two things coming together. Now, where does the head of the sheep come from? Well, a sheep is a baby ram. So if you can't, it says if you can't get the head of a ram, get the head of a sheep. If you can't get the head of a sheep, get the head of a fish. Now, the head of a fish is not connected to Akedah Yitzchak. That's the significance is just about the head, because we said there's two parts. There's about the ram or the sheep, and then there's about the head. The question that comes to mind now as I'm speaking, if the significance is a combination of two, so why if we can't get the head of the ram or having the head of the sheep, why isn't it brought down? We should eat meat just from the sheep and the ram, because that itself is the significance about. But it seems, I assume that it's the significance is specifically the head, maybe because the horns, when the angel told him not to slaughter Yitzchak, it says he saw the ram that was struck by the horns, so he saw the head. So I guess there's something. Could be the head is also connected to that Akedah, not just the ram. Okay? But in any case, if you can't get the head of a sheep, head of a fish, then the significance is about the head of the ear. You want to be the head, not the tail. And then also the fish, the significance of fish. Fish has a special blessing that they multiply very, very fast, fish. And we want to have that blessing. And fish have a special blessing that there's no evil eye can be cast on fish, because they're always covered under the water. And this is the first night of Rosh Hashana, and pretty much the way it's done, it's not done spread out. You don't have to rush through it, but it's one after the other. You don't stretch it out. It's not like we have the challah honey and then okay, we need challah now. I like enjoying the challah. Okay, hour later, apple night. No, we finish the challah. We have like a piece of challah, kazais of challah. We do the apple honey. Finish the apple. We go to the pomegranate. We finish the pomegranate. We go to the fish course, and at the fish course, there's also going to be the head of the fish. A lot of people don't like to see the head of the fish. My family experience, they don't. Anyways, but there's you don't have to do things. It doesn't have to look at the head. It says you have to eat from the head. You don't have to look at it. You don't look at it. But you take it, you eat something, take a little piece from the head of the fish. There's a meaning Yisrael Torah. It's special to keep Jewish customs. So we're done now with the first night of Rosh Hashana, and now we come to this first day of Rosh Hashana. I wanted to share a story in connection. I just heard the story this morning. I forgot about this. I want to share it with you. And that is a connection that we learned last time, and that is in the month of Elul, we add in Tefillah and davening. How do we add in Tefillah and davening? We add in the 3 kapitel Tehillim every single day after davening. I actually remember to say it. I rushed to get her on time, so I remember to say it now. And the David Hashem Ayri, we say the David Hashem Ayri, we say after Shesh Liyayim. And someone told me a story as I was finishing davening. So we have to hear the story. The story of one of the captives were released, and the first captives that were released from October 7th, a woman who she knew nothing. The only thing she knew was with David Hashem Ayru, this kapitel. Heard the story already? No? Something heard it. Chapter 27. The only kapitel till she heard was that she knew was this kapitel. And she said it all day. And her captors asked her, "What are you saying?" And she told them what she was saying. Just they couldn't stay in the room. They ran out of the room. Exactly 50 days later, she was released. There was a time they were releasing captives, but they were only releasing like the older ones, and they were sick. And she wasn't on the list. She was from the younger ones. She wasn't really on the list. And exactly 50 days later, they opened up the door and said, "Go." Now, it's interesting that the David Hashem Ayru we say for 50 days, because we start saying it at the beginning of the month of Elul, and we finish it on Shmini Atzeres, which is exactly 50 days. Wow. And exactly 50 days after she was saying it, she was released. So now we're up to the first day of Rosh Hashana. So, blowing shofar. Blowing shofar is a mitzvah in the Torah that we blow on Rosh Hashana, and even though it's connected to tshuva, but in the Torah itself, it doesn't mention about tshuva. So, Gzeirus HaKosov, the Torah says you have to blow shofar. But the idea, what's the remez, the hint in this mitzvah is tshuva. There it brings in a mimer that when there's a hint in a mitzvah, that means the hint is even higher, greater than the mitzvah, because it's so great that it can't be revealed in a revealed way. It's only hinted in the mitzvah. So that's the idea. The idea of tshuva is even greater than the mitzvah of blowing shofar. So who's obligated? So actually, women are obligated. Women are exempt. Women are not obligated to hear shofar. But if you hear shofar, you receive a mitzvah for hearing shofar. So of course, women want to get the mitzvah, so they hear shofar, but not obligated. Women are exempt because that's a general rule that any mitzvah that's time bound, women are exempt. Yes.
We're learning about this, I think, yesterday, and what I heard, I think, was that because women took it on themselves so long ago that they're going to hear shofar, that now it's not part of us. It's like now it's like that's the way it's.
It's possible. I hear it makes sense. There's certain things once you accept the point yourself, it comes. I haven't seen it specifically, but it could be. It says it somewhere. Doesn't mean that they're obligated. Meaning, then it's something that they should actually keep. It's the proper thing to do. They should be doing it. But according to the letter of the law, they're exempt. But it's a time-bound mitzvah. And because they are exempt, that is why if a man is coming to blow for a group of women, and the man already heard shayf and he's blowing just for the women, and let's say the women, now who's going to say the bracha? Before you do mitzvah, you say the bracha. We're doing the mitzvah. Who's going to say the bracha? The man already heard shayfa. Should the man say the bracha again for them? No, they should say it on their own. Because he already heard shayfa. But what if they don't know how to say the bracha? Should the man say it for them? No, he does not say it for them because being that he's not obligated and they're not obligated, he's not allowed to say a bracha for women when there's no obligation on him. A bracha is only saying there's an obligation. He has no obligation, they have no obligation, so why is he saying it for them? He cannot say a bracha for them. The women themselves could say, even though they're not obligated, that's clearly Jordan Shalach, that they could say a bracha even though they have no obligation, because being that they're doing a mitzvah and they get reward for doing a mitzvah. So, and in the bracha it says, Asher Kiddishon of the mitzvahs. When you're saying a bracha, you're saying you have sanctified us with your mitzvahs. And Asher Kiddishon is plural. Shekidishanu, you sanctified us with your mitzvahs. Sivanu, you commanded us. It's plural. It's going on the Jewish nation. It's saying you have sanctified us, Hashem, with your mitzvahs. And you have commanded the Jewish nation to do this mitzvah. It's not a bracha in vain. So if they say it, they could say it. They should say it. But the man who already heard shofar, there's no justification in saying the blessing for women if he already is not doing the mitzvah. And women aren't obligated, he cannot say the bracha for them. Now, if it was Kiddush, let's say, women have to hear Kiddush, the man already heard Kiddush, already said Kiddush. Now he's saying it for women. Can you say it for women? Yes, because being that women are obligated to hear Kiddush, so now he could say it for them. Now, what's the justification in saying it? He has no obligation. Why is he saying a blessing? He has no obligation. Because there's a rule, Kol Yisrael it says that all Jewish people are guarantors for each other. Or respond. There's different explanations. Kol Yisrael. Could you see this? Can you read this?
Yeah.
This is the famous line, you may have heard it. Kol Yisrael Arevim. Arevim means guarantors. There's many explanations to this term, actually. That all Jews are guarantors, responsible to each other. We all have a responsibility to each other. So being that all Jews are responsible to each other, so the man has a responsibility to make Kiddush for the woman who didn't hear Kiddush because the woman is obligated, even though he's not obligated, he had a responsibility to another Jew. So therefore he also has a mitzvah. That's why he could say the blessing for a woman who didn't hear Kiddush. Now, it's interesting that the term Arevim can also mean mixed. All Jews are mixed together. Yeah, I thought there is, I think there's another one, Arevim. Arevim also means sweet. I don't know if this is one of the explanations for this over here. In any case, yeah, so the bottom line is if a man is blowing for women, he's only saying the blessing if he did not do the mitzvah of shayf himself. Otherwise, he cannot say the bracha. Yeah.
So if the women don't know the bracha at all, can he say a couple words and they repeat it, say those words so that they basically say the bracha and he's just teaching them?
Right, he can say Baruch, Anta. Now, but he can't say Hashem's name.
Yeah.
So here's a trick. Not really a trick. There's something the man could do. You can say You can say quietly the word Shema Yisrael. And then he says, Baruch, Ata Ata. Then he says quietly to himself, Shema Yisrael. And then he says Hashem.
That's
Elokeinu.
Hashem.
Huh?
You're saying he said the actual name?
Yeah,
Oh,
actually.
I see.
Yeah, because if it's Hashem, he could always say Hashem. He says Hashem's name. Then he says Elokeinu, the actual name of Hashem. And then he says quietly to himself, Hashem Echad. So he said a complete pasuk. That's something the man can do. I don't know how many men know about this, but that's something that you could do. Because otherwise, you cannot really say a bracha with an adult saying Hashem's name with it. Children, you are allowed for education, but adults, you're not allowed. That's not law, even though some people think, well, the adult is not educated. That's not the point. Halachically, that's how it is. With children, you can say Hashem's name. With adults, you can't. So they have to figure out a way out. You have to figure out a way out to say it with them. Now they should say Pada, but you can't say Hashem's name and they repeat it. You can't do that. Yeah.
What I usually do, I'm not sure if it's actually correct this question. Because sometimes I come across people who don't know
Sometimes what?
sometimes I come across people who don't know the bracha for like this last guy.
Wash their hands, yeah.
So then I'll say
Baruch, Ata.
as I don't complete it.
They don't even know Hashem Elokeinu.
Yeah. So if I'm saying it for them, if I say Hashem, sometimes they don't know, they say Hashem with can't say it, say his name. So then what we do for kids sometimes is we say Adai, they can read it, Alai, read it, and then you say the rest.
So you could say Adoi. Say Adoi, and then you
Yeah.
say Adoi, and then what do you do next?
Exactly. Well, yeah, they say the whole thing, because once you say half of it, they know okay, I know what it is.
Once you say Adoi, they know how to say the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But if you say Hashem Elokeinu, they say Hashem Elokeinu.
But when you say Eloi, they know how to say the rest. They know how to say Kenu.
I think so, yes. At least in my experience.
Okay, so that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. How many sounds do we hear on Rosh Hashana? We hear 30 sounds. Why 30? The way we get 30 is because the Torah teaches us that we're actually supposed to hear 9 sounds of Rosh Hashana. It actually starts from 9. The Torah says you have to hear a tkiya. This is more of a technical thing here, just to understand how many signs tkiya. The Torah says that to do the way you do the mitzvah of hearing shofar Rosh Hashanah is tkiya, teruah, tkiya times 3. We learn from Sukkot has to be done 3 times. Tkiya, and then a teruah. Torah use the term teruah, and then a tkiya. Repeat it 3 times. The catch is when the Torah says teruah, we don't know what it means. We don't know what it means. It can mean any of 3 combinations. It can mean a combination of the broken and the quick sound. Just it goes straight for it, right? We'll pay attention since the beginning we have a quick and broken, then just a slow and broken, a slow and quick. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is slow. Call it slow and the quick. And we use that term, slow. Slow. Then Shema is called the broken. Then there's a quick one. We're not sure if it's the slow or the quick or both together, slow and quick together. You don't know which one it is. So we do all 3 combinations. That's how we end up 30. The month of Elul, we do 1 of each. So we have only 10. So in order to do the mitzvah properly, Rosh Hashana, you have to hear 30 sounds, so you for sure perform the mitzvah properly according to the Torah. We hear more than 30, we hear 100, but to do the obligation of the Torah, it is 30 sounds. That's how much you have to hear. That is right after they go, when they say the bracha, they go shofar, they go right in with 30 sounds, and with that, we perform the mitzvah. Any questions? Before shofar, many have a custom that they don't eat. Before it comes a very special mitzvah, they shouldn't eat, and some don't even drink. Halachically, you could drink, especially women. You have no obligation to their shofar. So drinking as sure as, drinking is fine. So, I mean, even for men could drink if they need to, if it's difficult for them. Better to drink than to eat. Better to have fruits than to have desires. If it's just a snack, it's not really, it's not in the same category. So if someone feels they need to eat something, they should eat fruit, not to desires. But many other customers, they don't eat and they don't drink. But for many people, it's difficult, and then you can't daven properly. So there are many people, there are people who hear shofar before davening, because davening starts so late. So you finish davening, it's like 2-3. So there are people who blow shofar before davening, like this, they can eat something. So that depends on the individual. Shofar now. Now regarding shofar, that is that men or women, same thing, men and women are not allowed to use the shofar on Rosh Hashana just to practice. Let's say finish blowing shofar. Now the man wants to practice, so tomorrow could do a better job. You're not allowed, because you're not supposed to use a shofar on Yom Tov. Shofar goes to the category, it's called uvdin l'chel, weekday activity. You're not allowed to really be blowing shofar on Rosh Hashana. Well, for the mitzvah, of course, the Chacham didn't forbid because of the mitzvah, but otherwise you can't. You're not supposed to. It goes in the category of weekly activity. So once the mitzvah is over, you can't do it anymore. You can't be blowing shofar for practice for the next day. But it says for children under bar mitzvah, you could let them, because it's chinuch, it's education. Now it goes to the category of mitzvah because they're learning how to blow shofar, and you're educating them, you're getting involved in mitzvah. So children could blow shofar to practice if they want for the next day, but adults cannot. So if it's not for the mitzvah, they're not supposed to be blowing just for practice. Okay, we will stop here. Shabbos, everyone. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've been trying to reach one of these.
Yeah, I got it. I was waiting to